Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Nez's Place podcast, where truth lives. I am your host, Vanez Davis, and I am thrilled that you are tuning into the show today. Well, to all my new listeners, welcome to the podcast, and I want you to know that this show focuses on real issues and topics, and without a doubt, we're all about truth and transparency, motivation, encouragement, and inspiration, and positivity. So if you know someone that needs a positive push, please share the link with them. Well, we're going to jump right in tonight's show, and we are talking about me, myself, and I. Sometimes we lose ourselves because we are so involved with outside activities, being involved in other people's lives, making this appointment, making this meeting, just doing so much, being involved in this activity, that activity, and just not spending some time by yourself. You need to learn how to be alone and how to enjoy being alone. How many times have you gotten dressed, getting ready to go out, getting all dressed up, or just going out, but you're going to meet someone? But how many times have you purposely gotten dressed and just left because you had an agenda? And that agenda and that calendar appointment said, me time. And that's what we're going to talk about. Learning how to focus in on ourselves and putting some me time on the calendar, which is extremely necessary. Because learning to be alone, it's not because you don't have any friends. That's not the case at all. But it's because you made a conscious decision to spend some quality time alone, whether it is you want to relax, think, drive, go to the movies, go to the dinner, unwind, whatever you want to do. It is so liberating when you realize that it's just okay to be by yourself. And some people think that being alone is a bad thing. It's really not. Or they'll put you in a box and say you're antisocial, or maybe you just are a loner. And there's nothing wrong with being a loner. It really isn't, because there are some people who are introverts and they don't like being around a lot of people. But if you are the type where you're constantly having to be around people because you don't know how to be alone, I'm talking to you. I want to talk to you, that person that needs to learn some solitude, because being alone isn't necessarily a bad thing. It has its benefits. And when you learn to embrace the solitude, there's nothing like it. We all love our friends. We love hanging out and going to all these events and different things like that with our friends and loved ones. But when you learn the art of being alone, you will grow as a person. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, we love our friends. I love my friends. I love having a social calendar sometimes, but sometimes it could be a little bit overwhelming because I'm always so busy. And when it's time for me to sit down, I'm asleep. I'm going to sleep because I'm exhausted. But that's not the kind of time I want to use when I'm in my moments by myself. I want to have moments that are used wisely, that I take advantage of the time, that after I'm done, I feel like I'm productive, I feel rejuvenated, I feel restored, I feel relaxed. That's what I'm talking about. You have to learn how to pencil some me time on your calendar. And there are so many people that don't know how to fathom of being alone. They can't even think about going to the restaurant by themselves, to the movies, wherever. They just sometimes even can't stay in the house by themselves. So they're always out, running here, running there. And you always have to be entertained by someone. But that's not good, because what if someone's not there? You have to know that you have that confidence of being alone is okay. So we don't always need others to feel valued. And we don't want to get into that rut, because then we're so focused on having people around us and we lose ourselves. I'll tell you, for me, I had to learn this. And for me to keep out distractions and focus on what I wanted to do and learn who I was, this was back when I got a divorce. The kids were relatively young. And on the weekends when they went to live with their dad, I had to find me because being married for 13 years, you're always with someone. You always have a partner to do things with. So here I am alone, new life. I had to reinvent myself. I had to find out what is it that Vanez loves to do. What is it that makes me happy? What makes me tick? So I had to embrace my new life. It was scary, just a little, especially when I took baby steps and I said, okay, I'm going to go eat by myself. I'm going to take a chance and I'm going to go eat by myself. I know it's going to seem so weird and odd because society always says when we go to a restaurant, we have to have someone with us, but that's not always the case. For me, I took a chance. I went to a restaurant and I had breakfast. Now, I'm not going to lie. It was weird. It did feel strange because I would be telling a lie if I said, oh, yeah, it felt all great. No, it felt weird. I wanted to sit and talk to someone. But what I did was the second time I had an agenda. I had a purpose. And I took a notebook. I took a book. And at that time, I don't even think we had cell phones. If it was probably really huge. And I purposely set time aside to journal. And I don't know if men journal. So if you are a man and you're listening to this podcast, I need you to tell me if you journal. What do you do in your time of relaxation when you are alone? I need to know what guys do. For women, I know we read, we jot down things that we want to do. We journal a lot. And we think and we sit back and just relax. I want to know what the guys do. In my pastime, in my moments of serenity, I was able to really hear what I wanted to do. I would spend some time praying, seeking God. And I believe it was in those quiet moments that I was able to make really good decisions. And one of the decisions that I made in that moment of solitude was a decision to move from the West Coast to the East Coast. And when I made that clear decision in my moment of solitude, I didn't have to ask everyone else what they thought because I knew that the plan that I was making, one that was guided by the Lord, plus I knew that it was something that I wanted to do for me and my daughters. So I started spending time jotting things down, and I looked forward to that time of being by myself because I knew that now I had a vision, I had a plan, I had a purpose. And it was also that time that I started my book, and I'll talk to you about that at the end. Girlfriend, Your House is a Mess. I started that book then. And so the beauty of being alone is there's so many beauties. There's so many beauties. I mean, you get recharged. You don't have to always be surrounded by other people, but you get to recharge yourself because sometimes when you are around a lot of people all the time, it's mentally draining, and they drain you, whether or not they need something from you, whether it's advice, counseling, money, whatever, have tons of questions. It can be taxing on you emotionally and mentally, and it can be a distraction for you. So spending time by yourself will help you to recharge. Think about your life. Think about what you're going. Think about your next plan, your purpose, your business, whatever you want to do. It gives you time to think about that, and you begin to reflect more often about what it is in your life. It gives you some self-reflection, seeing what you did wrong, what you did right, what you want to do tomorrow. It helps you to really reflect upon your life. Solitude provides the perfect environment for reflection. It really does. You get in touch with your emotions. For me, I had to think about going through a divorce. It was good to reflect upon what happened. What did I do? What did he do? How can I do better? What could he do better in his life? Maybe it's something I need. Even if we were going to counsel and trying to make it work, which we weren't, but still, so you can gain a better perspective on your own emotions. And when you tap into your emotions, you can feel what makes you upset, what upsets you. Maybe you had an encounter with someone at work and you're really upset about this the whole week. That's the perfect time to sit down and reflect upon what happened. Visualize it in your mind. just role play it back. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you said the wrong thing that caused a person to think a certain way. So sometimes you can do some really self-reflection and get in touch with your emotions, and you will start to do things that you enjoy. You really will. How many times have you done stuff just because everyone else is doing it, but you really don't want to go, but you only go because everyone else is doing it? But you will realize that you will enjoy spending time doing things that you want to do, and it will give you so much freedom. And one of the things that I mentioned before is that you'll be so productive. So productive, because when you're in the company of so many other people, it's distracting. It can take away from your busy time. I set aside Mondays. Mondays are my time just to spend time alone, I call it motivational Mondays, and I just work. I do whatever I want to do. Sometimes I may take a phone call if it's important, if someone really needs me. But for the most part, I shut down. I'm off the grid, and I have loved it because now my Mondays turns into Tuesdays, and I find myself not even turning on the TV. So I can sit down, get to work, be productive, don't have any distractions, and I feel great. Feel so great. And like I said, we love our friends, but if you start taking time for yourself, penciling some time in on your calendar, whether you do it once a week, once a month, once a quarter, but you have to do it, you will appreciate your friendships more. You will value them more. And you will appreciate them so much and the value that they add to your life. And like I said, we do need our friends. We love our friends. Friends are very important, especially if they are good friends to you. Well, I want to interject this. If you have friends that are draining you, if you have friends that are constantly draining you, they're not feeding into you the way you're feeding into them, then I think it's time to reassess that, because they're time wasters. They're spending too much of your time and they're draining you. And that's why you can't really self-reflect and think about it, because you're so busy worrying about what's going on over here and they're taking so much of your time. So I wanted to kind of tell you about that. And also, being alone helps you feel more independent. And once you enjoy being alone, you'll have more confidence. You'll be able to go places alone. And sometimes if you go to a wedding, you always may have, or a wedding or any kind of event, you always want someone with you. But I noticed for me, I can just pick up and go. I went to a book event. I didn't even know these people. I didn't even know anybody there. But I paid for a ticket and I went because I wanted to go. And I said, you know what? I'm going to venture out and do this by myself. It was the best time ever. So you won't even have to have the constant interaction with other people or the anxiety of having to please other people. So you'll be able to feel more independent. And you don't have to worry about making people happy, doing things to make people happy. It's all about you and all about how you feel. You don't have to worry about whether someone's opinion about what you said matters. It's all about you. It's all about you in this moment of solitude. You won't have to apologize for anything, because what you going to do to yourself? What you going to do to yourself? But when you end up spending time with so many people and maybe something is said, done, or whatever, then you have to apologize. And then you get into this issue with, with drama. And I don't do drama, never did, don't like it. So I don't worry about that. But if you spend time alone, you don't have to worry about the drama. And it helps you to kind of focus in and center yourself. So when you see drama coming from anyone around you, you can recognize it very, very quickly. And you will shut it down quick and in a hurry. Because who has time for that foolishness? I don't, and I know you don't either. And one last thing, you stop looking for validation from others. Validate yourself. You are validated. You are confident, secure, know who you are. And when you know who you are as a person and what makes you tick, you can decline, like I said, decline events. If you don't really feel like going, you'll have the wonderful life being spent by yourself. You're just being happy, being who you are. But I want to tell you, miserable people cannot do this. They won't understand it, because miserable people, they sulk, they're angry, they're bitter. They want other people to come into their bitterness or their miserable life, and that's not going to happen, because they don't understand that being alone can be a beautiful thing. They can spend time being angry about having to be alone instead of turning it around, being positive about it. They need to learn that. And I know that in the moments of tranquility is so much peace. And that is when you can find yourself and you can find God and listen to God, and you can really spend time with those around you when you want to. And if you decide to stay off the grid for a little while, I want you to know it's perfectly fine. It's okay. You don't always have to be connected. If you have a business, you need to shut down once in a while too. So if you're constantly on your phone, constantly on your computer, sometimes you need to give your eyes a rest. Shut down social media. Shut it all down. Even if it's just for 2 hours. Shut it down. Give that time back to yourself. Relax, breathe, and remember, it's in those times of solitude that we can breathe, relax, think about our next move and our life and our destiny. Because in our lives, if we have so much going around us and so much, and we're so busy all the time, we can't hear with all the noise going on. But how can we hear? We can't. So we have to learn how to tune things out and embrace the silence and learn to spend some time alone, some time in solitude, and doing just what you want to do. And remember, put yourself on your calendar. Make an appointment for yourself. Don't wait till tomorrow. Do it today, because it's just that important. And I want to just leave you with this. Being alone is not a bad thing. I want to reiterate that. So eat alone. It's okay. Take yourself on dates. It's perfectly okay. If you sleep alone, single women, whatever, single men, it is perfectly okay. And in the midst of all this, you will learn about yourself. When you take some time to do some self-reflecting, spend some time in solitude, reflecting upon yourself, you will grow. You will be able to figure out what inspires you, what makes you happy. You will be able to cultivate your dreams and really invest some time on your dreams and you know what? You'll be the best you can. You'll be so much happier and so much happier with yourself. You'll be able to enjoy those around you much more, and you won't be on the tipping point of telling someone off. You'll be able to kind of pull back when you really want to say something else. So take some time. That's your job today. Pencil some me time. Put some me, myself, and I time on that calendar, because like I said, it's just that important. Well, that's our show today for you guys. Make sure to shoot on over to the Nezzy's Place website, where you can listen to previous episodes or order your copy of Girlfriend, Your House is a Mess. And there you can connect with me on all social media platforms. Hey, and guess what? You can now listen to me on Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. I am so over the moon about that. And I would love for you to connect with me. If you can, please give me a call, 585-210-8186. And if you like the show, please let me know. And remember, the link will be accessible after the air date, so you can always share the link with someone or tune back in and do a replay. Remember, like I always say, guys, it's your house, your life, and your rules. Don't let anyone come into your house and make a mess of it. Remember, take some time, pencil yourself in, put some me time on the calendar, whether it's 1 week, every month, every quarter, whatever. Remember, this is a day that we'll never see again, and we have to make ourselves a priority, because if we don't, who will? Okay, guys? Well, you have a great one, and I am out, and I'll see you next week. Bye.